My question is a little bit about relationships. Whenever I started this journey inward, I feel like passively I started losing interest with people who likes to gossip or talk about their superficial life. Um and that isolated me in a sense, and I honestly sometimes feels lonely. And it's not that I'm identifying with the loneliness, but part of me is if awareness allows all experience to exist, why I feel like there's a preference of losing interest with such activities anymore.
Hmm.
And I feel like there's sense of I'm not judging, but I don't know why there's a preference. There's
Yeah.
because now there's an understanding of what life really matters and means, and whatever superficial activities I lost interest in it. And I'm struggling with to find compassion and how to engage with such relationship back. So I don't know if you have any
Yeah.
advice.
Mhm. I don't know about advice, but I definitely have a lot of personal experience with this as well because I have and somewhat sometimes still go through it, you know? So know that it's completely normal. It's a part of anybody I think that starts to pursue this path of truth. Because certain things and certain things that people talk about just start to feel mundane, you know, and unnecessary. And even sometimes just like negatively influencing you, you know. So of course it's a natural thing for some time to maybe retreat from it, just remove yourself from it. So that's what I feel like I did in my experience as well. Like there was a period of just like not wanting to deal with any of that, so I just removed myself. But just like you're mentioning, gradually I started to come to see that like there's just space to now allow that and allow certain personal relationships to be like that, because you know like it's a very crazy expectation for other people to be interested in your for other people in your life, in your immediate circle, to also be interested in these same teachings. It's very unlikely. But like you know, it's not like that you need to necessarily remove those relationships to be yourself and to be happy. Maybe for some time as we were growing in this practice that's needed, but then as now we're becoming more matured and all that in our understanding, I think we can, to some degree, allow that. And even, you know, like if while interacting with them, you know, hear them out or engage in those conversations, even that is fine. But it's like being less bothered by it, you know, um, just allowing that relationship to be that. Like, if anything, in one way, it becomes refreshing because that is where you can be totally personal, where you can just completely forget about your spiritual stuff and just be personal, just meet the other person where they are, you know, rather than wanting them to meet you where you are. So I don't know. I like to sort of balance it out. Of course, when it gets like a little too dysfunctional and too much like too negative and whatnot, I like to minimize that. But other than that, a lot of just like even at like surface level sort of conversation or chatter, I no longer try to resist. Like it just sometimes I don't prefer it necessarily, but like I now just allow myself to engage in that without necessarily wanting to remove myself from it.
Mm, yeah. So I guess it's just a matter of time to give it time and allow grace.
Let's say right now you do feel totally repulsed by it. It's okay. Remove yourself from it. You know, you may need that time to be like, hey, you know, I just don't want to partake in any of that or deal with it. Journey flows in phases. We all go through so many phases. Maybe this is the phase that's needed for you at the moment. Maybe another phase will come where, despite your preference, life will demand that you engage in those things. You have to, maybe like the situation will just require it. And so when that, if and when that comes, try not to resist. If anything, then the resistance within you. against that thing is more of a culprit than the actual thing itself, right? Because you may have a preference. Yeah, I don't want to speak to the person who is gossiping or whatever. But let's say you end up in a situation where but you need to be in that environment or whatever. But something with the news is really happy. I mean, unhappy, resisting. Now, instead of the outside stuff, look at the inside stuff and start to just let that go and let just experience be as it is. Let yourself be where you are. And that experience of someone gossiping is not less spiritual than this right here, this meeting. It's really the same.
Yeah.
Like being in like a I used to say this sometimes just to relay this idea, like being in a nightclub is not less spiritual than being in a temple or a meditation center. Really, like there has to be like we're getting rid of all these beliefs about spiritual norms and like what is spiritual, what is not. It's like you are now giving yourself over to life as it's appearing, as it's happening, as it's needed in your personal unfoldment. And sometimes that will flow through things you don't necessarily prefer or consider spiritual. But it's like that's where we're going beyond any ideas of spiritual and just it's just what is. So
Yeah. Sometimes, like, when I'm faced with such situation and some resistance arise, I take it as a challenge. It's like, oh, let me just like play inward and see how can I make peace with the situation.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way. Seeing everything as a way of practice because that's why it has arisen.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you. Very often I have found that like it is more about what is going on within. That is where your work really lies, as opposed to just like, oh, getting out of this environment or removing that. Like sometimes that is necessary, but more often than not, it is about like looking inward and seeing, here, well, like, why am I resisting this? Why am I trying to get away from this and whatnot? So
Yeah.
just see, whatever feels appropriate and just try to balance that out. And then I like to always remember that all of these things happen in phases. I promise you, I've went through so many phases, even one phase where I just like wanted to stop doing everything. For a few months, I went through that phase where I just really minimized my daily activity because I thought it would help me spiritually. I thought it would help me meditate more and more deeply and whatnot. Like, and in those phases, it really feels like, oh, this is just what life is going to be like now. This is what life is now. I even went through a really negative, like a nihilistic phase, where nothing matters. Everything is mundane. I don't care
Mm.
about daily life. Or like, so, and in that phase, it really felt like, oh, this is just what life is going to be now. Now I've tried to like always see, it's like whatever I may be feeling, whatever I may be like my lens of life or um, whatever I'm going through personally, it is just a transient phase. I don't need to make my home in it. Um, and I don't need to make a problem out of it. That is the biggest thing I got out of all of these phases.
Mm.
Because let's say right now you're going through like, hey, I don't want to engage in those conversations or whatnot. That's fine. You can remove yourself from it. But it's like the the mind making a problem out of you going through that phase because like it doesn't like those relationships, but then it also doesn't like loneliness. It just will create a problem out of anything. So the mind making a problem out of the phase that we're going through, that's the actual culprit. That's where we can relax away and just embrace whatever phase we're going through, you know?
Yeah, I like how you said don't make a home out of it and don't make a problem out of it.
Hmm.
It resonates with me. So yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Mhm. Thanks. Looking back, I feel like any phase I have ever gone through has also served the spiritual understanding, the unfoldment. In the moment, it seems like, how could this possibly be helpful? Looking back, you see, hey, it has its place in the unfolding. And it was exactly there when it needed to be there. That once again just makes you surrender because you just cannot possibly comprehend what is best for you and how the journey should unfold. your idea of spiritual success and how that is to come about. It is just your idea of it. It will, like, so many times what happens doesn't make sense, why it's happening and whatnot. But it really is all, like we always say, life is the whole personal unfolding it is a river that flows to truth. So surrender and flow with it, practice through it, remember God, remember truth, remember self throughout all of the appearances. Do not be fooled by its apparent reality.